Operation Anglo was a British Commando raid on the island of Rhodes during the Second World War. The raid was carried out by 8 men of the Special Boats Section assisted by 4 Greeks. In September 1942 the mission was to attack 2 airfields on the island of Rhodes. The German and Italian bombers based there were being used to attack Royal Navy convoys. After their attack, the raiding force were to return to the landing beach to be picked up by submarine. Only 2 surviving SBS men made it to the beach after hiding in the countryside for 4 days. After the Rhodes raid, the depleted SBS was absorbed into the Special Air Service due to the casualties they had suffered. In 1954, the events of the raid were portrayed in the movie They Who Dare. Background. By 1942, No. 1 Special Boats Section was based in the Middle East and attached to the Special Air Service as the Full Boat Section. In July, they had taken part in the raids on airfield in Crete, and were now assigned to attack 2 airfields on the island of Rhodes in the Dodecanese. Rhodes, a part of the Kingdom of Italy since 1912, was being used as a base for Italian and German bombers who were attacking Royal Navy convoys. Mission. The No. 1 Special Boats Section raiding force consisted of 8 British commandos, 2 Greek guides and 2 interpreters. The commander of the raid was Captain James Allott with Lieutenant David Sutherland as the second-in-command. The rest of the raiding group were Sergeant Master Corporal Mackenzie, Private Blake, Marines Barrow, Harris and Duggan. The Greeks included Sub-Lieutenant Kalambakidis, Pavlos Moustakelis, and Antonios Moustakelis, and an unidentified 4th. The raiding force left Beirut in 2 submarines, HMS Traveller and the Greek submarine Papanikolaos. Their objective were 2 airfields on the island of Rhodes at Kalathos and Maritsa. They reached Rhodes on the 31st of August 1942. The raiders were landed by using a folding boat and 3 inflatable floats to reach the shore on the east coast of Rhodes near Cape Ferralco. After hiding the boats in some nearby caves, they rested for the first day before splitting into 2 groups. One group, under command of Lieutenant Sutherland, headed for Kalatos 8 miles from the beach. The second group, under command of Captain Allott, made for Maritsa from the beach. Having no radio to contact the Royal Navy at the headquarters, they agreed to return to the beach on the night of 17-18 September to be picked up. Allott's group penetrated their airfield and planted their explosives. The following day, they estimated from the damage they could see on the airfield that at least 20 aircraft had been destroyed. Sutherland's group reached Kalatos over the night of 11-12 September. They established an overlooking position to observe the airfield, and settled in to identify targets and observe the airfield for the next day. The following day, they divided into 2 smaller groups and started their attack. Sutherland and John Duggan formed one group, with an Sub-Lieutenant Kalambakidis and 2 SBS soldiers comprising the second. In torrential rain, both groups infiltrated the airfield and placed the charges, Sutherland and Duggan placing charges on at least 13 aircraft and around a fuel dump. However, the men were spotted and fled the airfield. Only Sutherland and Duggan reached the prearranged rendezvous point, and heard shooting coming from the direction they believed the other SBS was located. The following day, Sutherland and Duggan began the return journey to a rendezvous point near the beach with the expectation that the entire raiding force would reassemble. No one else had arrived, and in the meantime an Italian patrol ship had disembarked soldiers on the beach who had found the hidden boats. The 2 left a message at the rendezvous for any stragglers, and returned to the beach. Using a torch, they signaled swimming come into HMS Traveller, which was waiting offshore. The captain of the submarine, Commander Michael St. John, was surprised to see the recognition signal coming from the shore and replied by using his periscope to signal back. The boat then moved towards the remnants of the raiding force and expecting to pick them up from the boats. Upon hearing the men shouting in the darkness, a crew of the submarine helped retrieve the two swimmers, having been spotted by a patrol boat and with the SBS members on board. The submarine crash-dived and escaped the following depth-charge attack before making it to safety. Aftermath: the remaining members of the raiding party were captured, and became prisoners of war. The two Greek guides, who had already escaped from Rhodes earlier in the war, were put on trial accused of treason. Both were found guilty and one was executed and the other was imprisoned. Sutherland and Duggan were awarded the Military Cross and Military Medal respectively for their parts in the raid. After the Rhodes raid, what remained of the SBS was absorbed into the Shash due to the casualties suffered. The submarine HMS Traveller was lost with all hands 2 months after the operation. Captain St. John was not on board at the time and survived the war. In 1954, the events of the raid were portrayed in the movie They Who Dare, starring Dirk Bogarde and Harold Siddons.